Hi, everyone. Welcome to our homework system workshop. Thank you so much for coming right before spring break gets kicked off. I really appreciate this. Really, amazing to see you all here. My name is Sally Potter, and I am the OER coordinator at Fresno City College. And Antoinette, you want to introduce yourself?
I would turn on my camera, but I'm still not feeling well. My name is Antoinette Izon. I am the Psych and Human Services faculty at Madera, and I am also the OER lead for our campus.
Stephanie?
Hello, Hi. My name's Stephanie Kaufman, and I am the OER lead for Clovis, and I teach biology at Clovis.
And I am Amanda Tainter. I am the faculty coordinator of instructional design and outcomes at Reilly College. I'm also the ASCCC OERI Region A lead and ECE discipline lead as well. And we're going to break up our presentation. So I'm going to go first and spend about 30 to 45 minutes talking a little bit more about Canvas quizzes. We did a high-level overview the last presentation last week. So we're going to dive in a little bit more. And then Christina Moon is going to talk about ADAPT next. After I do that, Christina, do you want to introduce yourself now, or do you want to do it right before your performance presentation? We expect a grand performance, by the way.
Performance. Are we dancing or
I would like some folklorico, please.
Just very quickly, Christina Moon, Spanish faculty and OER-CTC coordinator at Chabot College. I'm the OERI lead for Spanish and ADAPT. And thank you. And go ahead, Amanda.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So today we are we're going to be taking a look at again, some of the more advanced options that are in the Canvas quizzes. We're going to focus on classic quizzes. There is new quizzes that are out there, and some people love them and love to use them. They are not widely adopted by all institutions, and quite frankly, they're a little buggy still. So, and not all campuses in our state center system have the option turned on. So for a myriad of reasons, I'm going to stick with just classic quizzes right now. So if you ever go into the guides, there's going to be two different quizzes, classic and new quizzes. What I'm showing you right now is in classic quizzes. All right. What I thought would be great to start off with is looking at some of these sample questions from the view of a student, and then we can break the quizzes down and take a look at how it is to create each of these, and then the options that are enabled to give the student the view that you're going to see in just a second. If you haven't ever used the view as student option in Canvas, that's my first thing to advocate for you. You can take quizzes, you can interact as a student. And for quizzes, it's really beneficial because all of these different options will make the quizzes behave in different ways. So you really want to get a feeling of what it's going to do as your students take the quiz so that A, you're able to troubleshoot, and B, if it's performing in a way you didn't intend, you can make those changes before you launch it out to your students, because Canvas quizzes does get a little angry with you if you try and make changes after students have taken the quiz. So you want to go through it, take the quiz yourself before you launch it out to students. So that's what I'm doing right now is I've got a published quiz and I'm going to just view as student. Now, I've already taken the quiz once, and that's one of the things I wanted to show you, and we'll look at that option. So as a student, since I've already taken it once and my instructor has enabled multiple attempts to the quiz, I get the option to take the quiz again. I can view my first attempt right here and see what I've gotten. Now, this is another option that my instructor has enabled, is my ability to see what the right and the wrong answers are. So that is an option. We'll show how to do that in just a second. But I'm going to go through and I want to take the quiz again. So I should have that option. So I can, here's my attempt. I want to go back to quiz. Right now, this is set for unlimited questions. These are the instructions from the instructor, myself, you always want to make these a little bit more clear, especially when the amount of temps that you have. They have it up here, but my eyes skipped over that, and most students will. So you want to reiterate the instructions right here and be able to do that. Okay, so again, make sure you have those instructions right here, unlimited due date, especially if there's things that are going to make a difference. Like you only have one attempt, you have a certain amount of time, you can't go backwards, those types of things, you want to make sure they're perfectly clear and transparent in those instructions, even if it is redundant, things that they've already done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take the quiz again, and we're going to walk through these question types. So right here we have an embedded video, and I'm just going to answer it. I'm going to get all of these probably very wrong. Julie was bragging to me about her correct rate versus mine. And I'll show you in the analytics in just a second. So here's a drop down. And so identify the tissue shown. We're just going to choose one. My biology people are probably horrified. And here we have a multiple drop down option. So an image has been uploaded. As a student, it's asking me, okay, what is B pointing to? I'm going to answer it. And now we get to an essay question, well, not essay question, a question with a file upload. So I can just choose a file to upload right there. And this will be a question that the instructor has to grade. So it's not going to be a manually graded question, but you can see also that there's a link in here for something the student needs to download and then re-upload. And then this one I really like, and I'm going to show you once I've completed it because it has robust feedback. So here is a multiple correct answer. What I don't like about this response is, or this prompt, is it doesn't tell students that there might be multiple correct answers. You see how I can select multiple of these? It doesn't indicate to students that there could be multiple correct answers. So most students will default to thinking there's only one correct answer. So make sure you're perfectly clear if there's multiple. And then here is just a fill in the blank question. And we'll look at this on how you can help Canvas say, here are different types of questions that might do it. Again, I'm just randomly put things in. I know my discipline expert is going, oh my goodness, what are you writing? And then multiple drop down. So this is one that can be very beneficial when you have something like a microscope and you want one question to have each of these answers. We're going to go over these more advanced math questions, but this is one of the big things I wanted to draw your attention to, because using these formula questions that we're going to explore more in depth is very new to students, just like it's new to many faculty that are using it. You want to provide these just-in-time resources, and we'll provide these links when we go over the question types. But this is really beneficial for students to be able to see these guides right then and there. So they want me to use math type, and Julie showed me how to use this just today. And I'm just going to randomly do stuff and make Julie totally cringeworthy. So we're just going to do just a bunch of different things here. I'm sure that's the right answer, right, Julie? Okay, here we go. Some brackets, because math has back brackets, right? Here we go. All right, perfect. Great answer. And this one, because you see the rich content editor, so the difference is in how a student will perceive these is I have access to the rich content editor, which is giving me access to that LaTeX. This, it's just a fill in. So I can just write, oops, numerical answers in these. And I have all these here because we're going to go over some of these more advanced. And again, and this one is where uploading the scratch work. So if you want them to show their handwritten work, you can have them uploaded as a file. Another example. And you can include, this is where using multiple different medias. We've got the formula up here for a student and then a graphical representation. No idea what that question says. I'm not even going to pretend. I'm just going to show the examples. That is and now we're getting much more complicated. And when we look at the question in depth, you're going to see all of the different complicated pieces that you have to be familiar with. All right, here we go. So now we've submitted the quiz. Now, again, it's unlimited attempts, and I've also set it where we can choose the highest attempt to be able to keep. So it's going to be the latest attempt in the settings that's going to be kept as my highest score. And we'll look at that in a settings. So again, the option is enabled for me as a student to see the correct answer after every attempt. And that's one of the settings we'll take a look at. So a student hopefully will go through and take a look at all the different responses. This is one of the ones that I wanted to be able to highlight, because the instructor has set where you have robust feedback. No matter what the response of the students, they're going to get this robust just-in-time feedback for students so that they can learn from it. I've got multiple attempts, so if I'm doing my due diligence as a student, I'm going to read through what the right answer is and why, so I can be able to answer it more appropriately. And then same thing right here. You can see that in this question, the instructor had enabled multiple forms that might be correct. And this is going to be really important when we set up the question types in just a second. Same thing, each of these question types from the view of the student, what it might be. And it's margin of error, that's something else we'll take a look at, but as a student, this is what they'll see for each of these question types. And here is another one where an instructor has chosen to enable feedback on particular right answers or incorrect answers. So this is a feedback that's enabled for an incorrect answer. I'm checking to see if there's any other things. All right, so again, it's giving us all the information that our latest attempt deals, what the current score is, 1 out of 49. So I've done worse. Last time I got 3.33, which is much more fantastic. And we can see each of the attempts. All of these are settings that the instructor can enable, and we'll look at those. And since the instructor has enabled unlimited attempts, I can also take the quiz again right there at the bottom. So you see, as an instructor, taking this from the student view is going to be super beneficial, because you can provide very clear directions for the student. Once they've completed the quiz or have questions about the quiz, you can say at the very bottom, once you complete the quiz, you're going to have a button to take the quiz again. Now, we can't see that as an instructor when we set up the quiz. So it's really beneficial to go through the quiz once you've published it, especially if you're just getting familiar with quizzes. All right, so I'm going to leave the student view and be able to see this as the instructor. So now we are at the instructor view, and we can see the settings that are enabled currently for this quiz. So we have points possible, assignment group. If I like to do weighted assignments or want to create a certain group, I can tell the quiz to go into that certain group. That's a presentation for a different day, but you have that right there. Shuffle answers. So each time I take the quiz, the answers are each attempt of the quiz. So students take it, the answers are going to shuffle around. Now, if you are referencing a certain order of the answer below, you want to make sure and turn that off, because it's not going to make any sense then. So think about that. Time limit, if you've got a pedagogical reason for having a time limit, I'm not a huge fan of them, but if you say, you know, this quiz should take a student 1 or 5 minutes and I'm going to give them 2 hours, those are understandable. But just here's my disclaimer, processing times, processing speeds are very different for many different students. Multiple attempts. And here you can see when I took the quiz a second time, it was telling me here's the highest score. So it's going to keep your highest score. You can choose the latest, so that students, if they choose, I'm just going to keep taking it until I get the highest score. You can change it so it's just the latest score, or you can have it where it's the average. Make sure that in the instructions, I highly advise letting students know this is what's going to happen. If you take it multiple times, it's going to average those scores together, or it's only going to keep your highest score. So make sure that each attempt is beneficial for your time. And here's also where you can opt to let students see their quiz response incorrect after they take it, or only once after each attempt. And you can choose those different options. And then some of the different more restrictive ones filter by IP address or require an access code if you. Yep.
Amanda,
Mhm.
I have a question. I'm
Yep.
sorry for interrupting you, but oh, so letting students see the quiz responses only once after each attempt. I don't really know what that means.
So here's what I've figured out is it's not phrased really well. And if anybody else has any other information, please correct me. But the thing that I figured out what this really means is that if you've allowed multiple attempts, it's not going to let students see it if you have this checked until they've exhausted all their attempts. That's the biggest thing that I found. It's unclear what that means. That is the only meaning I've really found that seems to stick true. But somebody else that has others, please let me know.
So if you allow unlimited attempts, they will never see the correct
Right.
answers. Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's what I've been able to figure out. I am so open to correction on that one. So if you allow 3 attempts, they have to do all 3 attempts before it can be seen. Again, please write in the chat, oh, that is so wrong, because I'd like to know when I'm wrong for sure, so I don't keep perpetuating the lie. Okay, so we're going to either save these changes. I'm going to cancel right now. And then now if I have a student, so let's go into actually creating some of those quiz questions. So we're going to go into edit, and then we'll take a look at moderating because I want to add some options real quick. So when you're going to questions, let's take a look at some of these specific question types one by one. So the first one that we looked at is video embed. This one is fairly simple, especially if you work with Canvas often, then you'll see that rich content editor appear. Let me just make my screen a little bit. You'll see that rich content editor appear that's giving you all the same choices that you have in discussion board announcements or whatever. So I've grabbed an embed code from one of our Panopto videos, but say I want them to watch a video and then answer a question on it. A quiz is a great way to be able to do that mechanism where if you have self-graded questions or you want to be able to grade them in a quiz format, put the video back in here instead of having it, remember the video that you watched, well, whatever your pedagogical choices, I didn't mean to pass judgment like that. Whatever you want to do, but if you're having them watch a video and ask a question, sometimes it can be nice to have it right in the quiz. You have all of these plugin options. So if it's a YouTube video, I can just go in and so it's going to ask you if you've read the terms each time you do it. And say I'm looking for a video on child development. Let's see. Oh, look, this one looks great. So then I can choose embed whatever size that I want. I'm going to do medium. It embeds right in the quiz question, and I'm going to say, watch and answer. You always want to provide context for what they're doing for the quiz. I can change my answers right here. You'll get these options in almost every quiz type. So red means if they answer it incorrectly. Green, this is the feedback if they answer it correctly. The gray, this will be the feedback no matter what they answer, they're going to have that same question. So if you want to just use it as a teachable moment, choose which of these options. I always just choose the gray one. It saves me a little bit of time and I'm providing that information. So I'm actually doing a little mini lecture or a mini snippet of information. Update questions. If you've never worked with quizzes before, now it doesn't let you move forward without updating the question. But a lot of people will scroll down and hit save, but you have to update the question first. All right, so we've got that YouTube video in there. If you're not familiar with some of the other cool options we have, I'm just going to show you because I never want to miss a chance to show everybody about Films on Demand or some of the other options we have. You can do your plugin, and you can also get a YouTube video from here. Films on Demand is an excellent repository of educational films as well. All of our libraries pay for it. So I want a video on Piaget. So here's all the videos that I have to choose from Piaget that are free not free, our library pays for it. So since it's an OER workshop, these are not openly licensed contents, but it would fall under the hat of zero textbook cost. It's something that our library pays for, so it's not open. However, it doesn't cost the students. And this is the same when you're curating your content. So we can use it as a quiz and build quizzes off it, but we can also use those types of resources to build our content as well. And that'll supplement our OER to create a ZTC course. All right. So here we go. That's our video embed. And if you have an embed code, you can add it right there. See if my, so if I, oh, sign me out. Okay. So if you have an embed code, you can put it right there. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and move on to other quiz questions. Sally, I'm leaving it to you to interrupt me should I have any questions in the chat that need my attention. All right. Multiple drop downs. Once you get familiar with it, the way that it works, you're going to be changing the question type right up here. So you can see all those. This is multiple drop downs. Same thing, show possible answers for tissue. So all of these are the possible answers that they're going to be choosing by whatever the correct answer is, and I'm going to put it right there. Same options at the bottom, correct, incorrect, for the feedback for the questions. This is the one where it was the multiple drop downs. And so we're selecting when a student selects A, this is the options that they have. When a student selects B, here's the options that they have. And you as the instructor, of course, are going to be filling all these things. I just wanted to pre-populate it for the sake of time, but you as the instructor will be going on adding. So if I wanted to add another answer, then I would just hit that other answer and put something cool. And then it's updated. And now we have another drop-down answer for A or B. The file upload question, very simple. You're adding the instructions here. You have that access to the rich content editor. So you can link either something out or something within your Canvas site as well. Choose the option up at the top. Multiple answers with robust feedback. This is that one where she had uploaded the general answer comments and had an image in there. It's just a fantastic example to be able to see. It's a teachable moment for students to be able to have that type of input after they answer it. Fill in the blanks. Now we're getting to a little bit more complicated, where you as the instructor really need to think through what are all the possible answers. Fill in the blanks aren't my favorite because you have to think through, especially in the more limited classic quizzes, what are all the possible iterations a student might. So these are case specific, spelling specific. So you really want to think about what are all the different possibilities something is going to be represented. Fill in the blank would be important if spelling and case type are an important part of the response. Those are some of the few instances I recommend fill in the blank if it does need to have perfect spelling that you want the student to do and case specific, and make sure you're very clear that those are a part of it. For each question, you'll also notice there is some helper text down here. So if you're trying to remember, okay, what exactly does this question do? You can see what the behavior is for the student and what your responsibility is to enter as the instructor. And here we go with the matching option. So they just uploaded an image, same thing, how you would do in any other part of your Canvas course. You're uploading an image, and then you're creating the pairs again. So this is the matching. So you're going to fill in the A and then the B. So the matching. I didn't bring your attention to it earlier, but again, make sure you're correcting the accessibility on all of your Canvas. So if this little guy says, check this, make sure you check that. You can also add detractors at the bottom. I lied this. Oh yeah. Detractors at the bottom, meaning that there is not a right answer, that this is not a right answer at all, but it's going to help them solidify that they know what the right answer is because there's actually nothing on there that matches to it. Okay, so now we're going to get into some more complicated math questions. And that's why I begged Julie to come in and join me, because this is so far outside of my wheelhouse. So I'm not going to do the math, but I did create, that's a lie, AI and Julie helped me to create a presenter handout. So I'm just going to reshare my screen and walk through it. Let's see. Okay, am I sharing the whole correct screen too? Where we see new quizzes on one side and the presenter handout on the other? Okay, thank you. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And I'm doing that because, oops, that's too big. The presenter handout, it helps to remind me what all of these quizzes are. but B, it also provides the words for these more complicated questions. And I realize my time is ticking, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker, and this is what you all are here for. So for the math unanswered essay question, you must type out an explanation. So right here, this isn't necessarily the explanation for the student. Some of these are directions for what you needed to do. Just FYI on that one. Okay. So this is where the instructor, it's an essay question. So a student is going to be updating and in an essay format. And so right here is where you want to provide that just-in-time support. And you can see it's those links that students can use to help them understand how to use LaTeX. And I love this because you have the chemistry example and the math expressions examples. So provide that in there. And then you yourself can use LaTeX to, am I saying that right, Julie? Yeah, okay. Can use LaTeX to create the answers. And Julie, there was one trick that you were saying was a little bit time intensive, not trick, but for using LaTeX, and I forgot to write it down. Would you mind sharing that?
Oh, what was it? I don't remember what I said.
Something was time intensive and having to go back and forth. She'll think of it because she's
Oh, well,
brilliant as we go through.
okay. So the thing that was kind of weird, if you want to do a random number generated question where like different students get different values, it would not accept the code, because when you want to signify somewhere that a number would change, you have to give it a letter name and put brackets around it. And if you do that in LaTeX, it's not recognizing it as a variable to change. And
in a
so you have to type
question.
everything around it in LaTeX and then have it, inserted in the text box there instead of in LaTeX. So yeah, that
So
was.
we'll look at that in the formula because this was an essay question, so that's why it wasn't coming up for this one. All right.
Yeah.
So that is an essay question. That's not a formula type question. It's simply an essay question using LaTeX to generate the text in there. So a student's going to use LaTeX themselves, because you're going to be asking them then to utilize this information in the rich content editor to create the response. Just like an essay question for an English teacher, they would type it in. For math, they're going to type it in for within LaTeX within the rich content editor. So now we have a formula question type, and this is going to be a bit more difficult. And I'm going to use my cheat sheet over here because, math isn't my thing. So a formula question allows Canvas to generate dynamic randomized math problems using a variable like X. So each student gets a unique version. And one of the things that Julie had told me, because Julie's a math instructor at Reedley, and so I told her, this is, child development. So one of the things that she had recommended was creating the solution and working backwards. And Julie, you could probably articulate that better than I just did.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to code in how the computer is going to calculate the correct answer every time it generates a new randomized problem. So you've got to be able to be really clear about how to solve your problem, and then turn all the numbers into variables so that the computer can just plug in, a different number each time. So that's the part where so if you have a solution that's worked out with real numbers, then you can kind of work backwards to something in variables. And I think that'd be the easiest way to go about coming up with the formula.
Yeah. So it really sounded like it's a little bit more complicated than just, an easy method. So you really want to think through and know how are all the different ways that it can be solved. You've got some great helper text up here, as well as there's a lot of different guides available in Canvas that Canvas has created that can help you walk through, okay, how do I do each of these? Because it's acknowledging the complexities, and there are certain parameters that Canvas is going to make you stick within. I have not the expertise to be able to answer those, but I did find the guides that can help you do that for people that are much more in tune with what you can and can't do within that. It seems like there is a lot of different options that you can format, but some restrictions. So I'm just going to go through these so you can see all of the different options that it's going to generate. And let's see, let's do a simple one here.
Julie, can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So I teach in economics. We do a lot of calculations. Could we do a system of equations? And could like if we generate different numbers, they would resolve the system?
I mean, I think it's possible. I can't say that I've attempted it.
Okay.
But I mean, if you look, Amanda, oh wait, go back, Amanda, to the edit screen you were on. So down below the edit box where it has the variable definitions and then the formula definition. So that formula box is where you're going to have to program in and tell the software how to generate the answer or how to
Mhm.
recognize the answer. So, I mean, if you can turn that into an algorithm
Yeah.
that it can solve, then yeah, it's possible. So I think you could with the system of equations. For
Especially
me,
just
I'm just
especially
starting
just
out with this, and I think
equations.
I'd have to work my way up to something that complicated. But
Mhm.
it would be possible, I think, yeah.
Especially if you just have two equations, you could probably just set up like some kind of equality that it would solve if you changed
Yeah.
the variable.
Yeah. What I noticed is if you see where the variables are, the one limitation I'm a little disappointed in is they only ask for an interval of minimum and maximum values to plug in. So
Mhm.
you can't get more specific. So you wouldn't be able to avoid maybe like, you could get decimal or fractional answers, and there's
Oh,
not going to be much you can do
yeah.
to prevent that from happening. So that's a little disappointing.
Mhm.
But this is better than, what they've ever had before. So we're
Okay.
getting
Thank you.
And then if you want to get a little bit simpler, you've got a much simpler format here. And one of the things that the amazing Julie said is that you need to make sure and use the right brackets. Don't use the curly brackets. I learned a new term today. Use the square brackets, because that's what's going to help pull it in. And we're going to do an example in just a second to get through. But you have some much simpler possibilities. How many combinations? All of these things, just walk through and use the guides. So here is feedback. This is not a formula, but you can use an image to be able to cut and paste in here. So you want to make sure, and this has some accessibility concerns, so you want to make sure that your alt text is clear what this image is, but because the functionality isn't here to be able to create this type of imagery or this type of formula, they just cut and paste and put it as a image right in there. Just keep in mind you need to have the alt text be applicable for that question too. And you've got the incorrect responses right here for each of the answers as well. You've got the option for using LaTeX and a matrix. This isn't a formula question, but they use LaTeX to create that options right here.
And if you're not familiar with LaTeX, Googling like if you wanted to do something like I do matrices in Canvas and I couldn't remember what the LaTeX code would be for that, and you just Google it and you can get that code pretty quickly without a lot of difficulty, and then you can just adjust the numbers in there. So don't be intimidated by the LaTeX if you've never used it before.
Thanks. That's great. And so here we have, this isn't a formula question, but it's a numerical answer. So we've got some different options that students can put in, or parameters to for students to be able to answer within, but it's not a formula question, just a numerical question. And then a numerical answer, again, when you're trying to be more precise. So the different how many decimal points that you're allowed behind it. So you've got that type of answer. So you can choose answer in a range or answer in with precision or exact answer. So those are the options that are available when you're looking at a numerical question. And a numerical question, exact answer, same thing right here. You choose the options down here and say 3 with an error margin of 0. So of course it's going to be an exact answer. All right. Advanced formula with an image, same thing, formula question. All they've done is just uploaded an image right here. You've got all your different options to be able to go through, if that makes sense to you, down at the bottom as well. So I just wanted to do one quick demonstration, and I'm going to take just the example that's got that word problem in there. So I'm going to do a new question. So if I choose a formula question and I'm putting something in here that has those X in the brackets, that's what's going to force Canvas to open up all of the different options right here. And however complicated you make it, then you're going to have all the different answers down here. But it's this that's going to trigger the variable definitions at the bottom. Okay, I wanted to show you one more thing about putting your questions together, the options, before I hand it over to Christina. So, Christine, when you are creating questions or loading questions, I always advocate for putting them into question banks. And here's the reason. So if I want randomized questions to be generated for each student, question groups are a really awesome way to be able to do that, especially if you're doing like a unit quiz at the end. You want each student to have a different set of questions, maybe pulled 1 or 2 from each unit. If you've taken the time to create quizzes for each unit, then you can generate an end of the section, end of the whatever it might be, that will randomly generate questions for each student from each group. So we're going to go in here and I'm going to do a new question group. So I put all of the different quizzes into the question bank. So I'm going to go to the question bank and it's showing all of the different question banks that I've created. So I'm going to use ASL an example because that was one instructor I was working with recently. So I want to pull from this question bank. So I'm going to select that bank and I want them to choose 3 questions from this group. And so now each student, so in that bank, there are, I think, 15 different questions, 13 different questions. So each student will get a different 3 questions every time they take it. Oh, my canvas is slow. Let's do one more and then look at it from a student view real quick. So I can do it from another. And you can do this with any type of question type. So formula questions, you just want to create that group of banks, to be able to choose from. Okay, so if I do this, select bank, choose 5 questions, create group. So now as a student, if I go in to take this as a student, each time I go in and take this question, because let's see, each time I do it, so we notice that question 29 is, what sign is this? Boy, baby, those are my options. Let's do this one. If I go in and take it again, those are going to be different options because I've created from a question bank. So let's just go in here. Don't mean to make you seasick, just trying to get there. So now I have different options, and I probably shouldn't have chosen sign language since we don't know what this all means. But these are different questions every time I go in and take it. Okay. So last thing, just as an instructor, what it looks like to go in and see those responses, what options you have. So in the quiz, I can use these 3 drop downs and go to show students quiz results. And that'll tell me, I think my canvas is not happy with me clicking around so much. So if I go in here, I can go show student quiz results and I can look at the 2 students that have taken it. So let's see how Julie did. And this will show me their specific results that they did. And if I've randomized the questions, this is where it's so important to look at the specific student, because if you've randomized the question and a student says there was a problem with question 4, every question 4 is going to be different for each student. So you want to go in and take a look at their particular response and answer to see what they did. Okay, that was a lot of information, and I am officially out of time for Canvas quizzes. So I think Sally's been putting the links in the chat. Yep, I see all 19 questions. So I'm assuming that was all Sally. All of these form. Oh,
yeah, not really, but
oh, okay, I can do it then.
yeah, no, Stephanie did drop the entire document.
Oh, perfect.
But there are a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Just I think these will be fast. Okay,
Okay.
so how can you automatically have the question number updated to the number that it is sorted by? Example, question 1 is the first question, question 2 is the second question. So I think maybe that maybe how to move questions up and down, I think that might be the question. And then how can you update all of the points to be a certain point, or each point will equal a grand total for the exam test? So how to edit the points.
Okay. Yep, so moving them around is just a drag and drop. So you can see I can do this and move it. I can also hit this little pencil. Oh, it doesn't let me do it right here. No. So I just drag and drop on that one. Before it was letting me, maybe that was a question bank. So you can drag it and move it, and you can rename right here what the question number is as well. Okay. I already forgot what the second part of the question was, Sally.
How
Sorry.
to edit the
Oh, the question type. Okay, are the question points.
Yeah, the points.
So right here, just I hit the little pencil and I change the point right here. So this question is worth 5 points. This question is worth 10 points. And that will change the question point count, which will then change the overall what the quiz is worth. It's not showing up on here. So when I save it, oh, right here.
Yeah,
66.
and then so Lolita is saying she wants that done automatically. I don't know.
Automatically it'll default to 1 point. So if you want it to be more than 1 point, you have to do it manually. I don't think I'm tracking correctly what part for automatic.
I think the answer is you have to do it manually.
To change it, yeah. If you want it all changed, so you can't say I think I'm following now. You can't say I want each question to be worth 5 points. It'll default to 1. If you want it to be universally more than that, yes, you do have to do on each question. It is certainly an annoying limitation. All right, did I get all the questions, Sally?
Yes, other than
Okay.
some math stuff. Yeah, but yeah.
I would not be able to answer those anyway, but I can give you Julie's email, who
Well, we're-
just experimented with today. She's just that brilliant to be able to answer questions after only having a half an hour to experiment.
Well, and
with it.
Amanda, we were talking alt text on like graphs. So yeah, I mean that's a tricky one, but like I mentioned in there, but really it's about what is important about that graph that the student needs to know, that if they can't see it, they, you know, that they would never know. So I focus on the details of the graph that are important to what we're talking about.
I will say that has been one of my favorite uses of AI, is plugging in an image and asking it to create an alt text. And depending on how complex the formula was, you might need to help guide it a little bit more as far as, okay, this is what's important of this. But that has been a really amazing tool in using AI, is to be able to generate those descriptive texts, alt texts.
And then if your alt text gets to be too long, you don't have to put the information in the actual alt text area. You can put it, you know, somewhere in the document that is that everyone can see, and then your alt text can say refer to the description below or something like that.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Sally. And if the alt text is going to give away the answer, then you want to just have that supplemental information and work with your DSPS office to how would be a better way to get the student who needs it that, because you don't want, like, if you're going to put in the figure caption and the figure caption describing the formula is going to give away the answer, that's where you come alongside your DSPS office to generate what's appropriate for your discipline.
Somebody
All
also
right.
shared a link to an image accessibility generator, which I might have to try that out. So
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, Christina, it is your turn.
Thank you. Wow, I learned so much about what you can do in Canvas. Going back to the alt text, if I agree that if giving the alt text provides the student with the answer, then you might want to create an alternate activity assignment for the student and deploy that one to the student that has the accommodations. That way you don't you don't get everybody to see the answer that or have an alternative way of doing that assignment. So now with that, we're gonna transition to adapt. I don't know how many of you were here last week. I have to assume that everybody has an account. If not, you can follow along. You know, again, this all being recorded, and I'll be sharing the slides also with your team. That way you'll have access to it. So you can see both sides of the screen, see if this works. And I'm gonna jump to, so this we went over last week. And if everything worked out, you should be able to log into Adapt, correct? Anybody that doesn't have an account? If not, maybe somebody could put the instructions on how to do that part. Since we don't have a lot of time and we didn't get to actually creating the questions last week, I wanted to jump straight to how to create questions in Adapt. So I think it kind of mirrors what Amanda showed, but I think you'll be surprised how easy it is to actually create questions in Adapt. So we're gonna concentrate in filling the blanks. We're gonna do the select choice, which is the drop-down menu. We're gonna do a highlight text. I have instructions for matching, but I'm gonna skip that and I'm gonna show the newest one, which is discuss it. This is kind of like the voice thread flip, where you could have students in groups, present, record, you know, do all those cool things that you can do with this new question type. And since I lost my chat, I can't even see if there are any questions. Hopefully, you know, if Sally or anybody, you can stop me if I don't, if there's a question that I can't see it. So I'm gonna go to, there we go. We're gonna go to Adapt. And if you remember last week, I created a course called Clovis Adapt Training. So I'm gonna go back and continue there. So we're gonna create a fill in the blank, and I'm gonna share this document. Your homework was to bring activities, but you know, just in case you didn't get to do your homework, and I want everybody to have a chance to even copy paste even my examples that I have here. You can use it to follow along. So we're gonna create, the first one is gonna be a fill in the blanks, right? So we have a module. And I created a fill in the blanks, which is the one that you see right there. The instructions it says complete the following spaces with the basic economic concept we have studied in the class. In a perfectly competitive market, there's a blank, right? So that is where the fill in the blank will go. And we have a second blank. So we're gonna do this one. Next one is this select choice, which is the drop-down menu. This is A something is a comparison using the words like or as, right? And then same with this one. So it has two drop-down menus. And I didn't create another one because Run out of time, but we're gonna go ahead and do this. So one trick that I showed last week was about cloning. Remember the cloning one? So we can go ahead and clone my first fill in the blanks. So that way, the advantage of cloning is one, I don't have to go through all the steps, and I could move it. So now I could go back and see, this is the, basically a copy of the first one. The advantage of this is I don't have to go ahead and complete all of this again, right? It says it's a copy, so I'm gonna call it, change the name, so it's fill in the blanks 2, but everything else would get copied. You know, that includes the author's name, the license. If there is a tag, I should have put a tag on my original, but I didn't. All this will follow along as it is a clone. And then I get to the activity, and my activity is there. But obviously, I want to change this one. So I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to copy my second one, which is a different question. Oops, should have done that. Now, anytime that you bring something from this is a Google Doc. If you bring it from somewhere else, I would always suggest cleaning it up. You want to clear formatting, especially if you bring it from a Google Doc. It comes with all kinds of junk. So you want to clear that and change it to normal. And the instructions are complete the following spaces with the basic economic concepts we have studied in the class. So now I have to decide what is it that I want as my answer, my box. So I would say revenue. And then to mark this as the answer, I would underline this. The moment I underline this, look what happened. You have to agree, this is much easier than doing it in Canvas quizzes. In Canvas quizzes, you would have to type it in. Here you could have a whole text in there, sentences, full-on paragraph if you want. Bring it in and then just underline what the blanks will be. So imagine how much time you will save by doing that, right? So the next one would be, I don't know, maybe expenses will be the next blank. So again, I underline this and now becomes another answer box. So I could go to the preview and there it is. Those boxes will show up because I had underlined the words that I want to be the fill in the blanks. You can obviously go through if you want to case sensitive, yes, no. And if you want to have different versions of it, I guess you could also add that in there. I'll just go ahead and just do this. Now, because I am, this is a clone, it is thinking that I am making changes to it. So since I am not technically making any changes, I'm just gonna ignore this part and move on. So now easily I created a version 1, which is my fill in the blank 1, and then my fill in the blank 2 with different blanks. That fast. Now let's see, I want to do a select choice, which is the drop-down menu. Again, I'm gonna clone this since I want to avoid going through all the steps, but maybe I don't, since I didn't show you how I created it. So I'm gonna call it select. I'm gonna actually type it select choice number 2. I will decide in which folder I want to put it in. I don't know. I have so many folders. I'm just going to put it in there. Automatically knows who I am. I would have to choose a license. And please use the tags. I will start with the discipline. In this case, inside this, I don't even know what I'm going to be copying. Let me see. It's an English one. So actually, I should put English then, not testing. It's English because I'm going to do the second one. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new native question. I'm going to do a select choice. What's nice is also it comes with instructions. So if you forget anything, everything that I said today, you could always use this to guide you on how to create this activity. Basically, you need to put it in brackets. The answers on the fill in the blanks, it was underlined. In here, you would have to use brackets. The brackets will determine that will be the answer. So let's say I'm going to copy the 2, example 2, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it in there. Did you see what it did? It did all kinds of stuff in here because I should have cleaned it up probably. There we go. Once I cleaned it up, it liked it better. Again, especially if you're bringing it from Google Docs, it does that. So you want to have instructions to be heading 2, select the correct option that fits the context. And Maria, so it's loves. So obviously it would ask me for a distractor. So maybe the distractor would be love. Another one would be to love, right? Checks. Check. To check. And so on. 10. So now, right there, I have my drop-down menu, right? So Maria loves, usually she checks, and so on. So that's very easy. And again, I could clone that activity and I could make another version of this like that. So how fast was that? Wasn't that much easier than doing it in Canvas? My problem in Canvas is that something sometimes I usually misalign. So I miss one, especially when I do the filling the blanks. And if you create more filling the blanks, you kind of lose track of where you are. Here, there's no way of missing it because it's very clear. You underline answers for filling the blanks and you put brackets for the select choice. I thought I saw a hand. Were there any questions about that? So we did fill in.
No questions.
So we did fill in the blanks and we did select choice. Now, one thing that I haven't seen in Canvas is this highlight text. And I didn't have time to do one example for highlight text. Highlight text is actually quite cool. So think about this activity. You are asking students to just select fruits in this paragraph, right? So let's go ahead and create a new question. So it's gonna be highlight text. I'm gonna put it in a folder. And this is, oh, I think it's either still English. I should have chosen a license. And then we're gonna go ahead to native. Now, do you see any highlight text here? Where is it? There are 2 ways to find it. One, if you go to all, that will give you all the options. Basic is just the QTI type that you're most familiar with. Then it's technically under the nursing group, but if you go to all, you will see them all in here. It's actually this one called highlight text. So we're gonna just grab these in here and then put it again, copy it in there. Instructions headed 2. Now, under the instructions, how do you determine the highlighted options is by brackets again. I didn't put brackets in this one. I should have done it before, but I could do it right now. So strawberries, right? I'm probably not gonna find all of them. The mangoes. Then, okay, so I need this structure. So I'm gonna have chicken. And then we're gonna have, what, beef? Okay. I didn't catch all of them, but it's fine. So once I created, I put brackets in them. Now the responses show up, right? I have 4 that I have put brackets in. So strawberries, is that the correct answer? Yes. Mangoes, yes. Chicken, no. And beef is no. So if you go under the preview, this is how it will look, because I put all these 4 answers as in brackets. They will show up as highlighted. So now students would have to choose only the fruits in here. So I'm gonna save it. So we're gonna see how it looks. So I would choose strawberries, mango, and let's say I choose beef. It would tell me that beef is wrong. Isn't that cool? Now, there are many ways to use. The other example is about renewable resources. I think it has different vocabulary words that are all kind of in this paragraph, and only the renewable resources will be the correct answer in this one. So you can think of it of many other ways of utilizing this. The highlight text, I thought that it was a very interesting way of checking vocabulary, right? And you can easily grab paragraphs from your OER or any material that you are using in class and just use it without having to create something new. Questions so far? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead. Let me see. So all these instructions are here. So, you don't have to, I have put it on the slide if you didn't follow. Now, another set of assessments that you can create in ADAPT are non-auto-graded activities. So these are all auto-graded. So, all of these will automatically be graded. Oh, somebody, was it Lolita that asked about automated points that could be controlled. Now, this is already, the setting in Canvas is 1, right? In ADAPT is 10. But you could go back to here and then go to properties and change the points right here. Where did it go? You can change how many times they could take it. Did I miss it? Where is the point system in here? Missing it. Go to my questions. You can see it also from here, the type of questions, but you can also change it from the actual question. So if, for example, there are 2 blanks, I want this to be worth 2 points. I could change it right there as well. What's nice about this is, doesn't matter how many points, for example, now this assignment called Module 1 has 5 activities, and now they are worth, 42 points, right? In ADAPT. You can change that once it comes to Canvas by changing the total in the Canvas, on the Canvas side. So in my case, I want all my assignments to be worth 100 points. I don't want to see a 42 anything. So it will, if I make this assignment actually be worth 100 points, in Canvas, it will automatically do the calculation that if a student gets 42 here, it would actually be 100 points that they will see in Canvas. If you want to make it 50, it will automatically do that. So it won't necessarily be 42. If you don't do anything, it will be 42. But you could actually change that in Canvas, how you want that to be displayed in the Canvas gradebook. So we're gonna show how a non-auto-graded type of activity could be done in ADAPT. So I saw some Spanish people today, which is always exciting. And I did share this last week, right? This is a discuss type of question where you could have students present. So in this case, they had to do a presentation. They would have to choose a group, right? This one is about food, people, tourism, and culture, right? And they had to do research on these topics, come find the group they want to present, and then they would complete the prompts that are given, right? So I put an example. So I did one for tourism, and I have my presentation, so I'm actually ¿Sabían que desde I'm probably not sharing the audio, but you could see I'm presenting about Tarifa and so on, and you can follow along. This is done automatically. At the moment I upload it, and I'll show you how it's done. You upload a video and it will, or you record, so you could do it two ways. On this one, because I was doing a screen share, I did record in Camtasia and then uploaded the MP4 file. And once I upload it there, it will generate the closed caption and the transcript. The minute that you put it in, I mean, it only takes a few minutes to get that up there, and there you go, right? What I have discovered about this is that when I'm grading, I don't have to listen to all these videos. I could just go to the transcript and actually read very quickly if everything that the students, what they said, if it was correct, and also the pronunciation in our case. If the pronunciation is incorrect, it will be captured in the transcript also. So I could go specifically to that point. And then I could see, oh, they mispronounced something. I could leave a comment about that, in 20 seconds into the recording, you did something wrong or something. You could actually come back and tell them that. So think of it as we encounter more students using the discussion board, the discussion forum that we all use in Canvas, using AI or not authentic answers or very suspicious answers in discussions. Think about using this as a way to have students talk and share things in class. I think there will be a rubric coming up in a few weeks where you could actually be able to do the grading using the rubric. Does the student see the video transcript? Yes, everybody sees the video transcript. So who could the person uploading should be able to edit the video. So for example, if I go in there, I could download the transcript. There was a way to do it. You should be able to go in and edit the video. Not the video, but the transcript. If there's a problem with the transcript, I done it where you could actually go and check it. I'll do it maybe when I uploaded my video, I'll do it. But oh, that's a good point. You know what? I haven't checked if students could do it. I know for a fact that faculty could do it. Like I could control that. And then from the settings, you could, the instructor could choose, well, you have to choose a language. There you go. So here you can say no, they cannot delete comments. In my case, I have audio and video turned on, not the text. But if I do text, it will ask you also to put the minimum number of words. I could do that. But you know what? I don't think students could edit this. That's a good point. Because I'm in as an instructor, so I should be able to do it. Okay, so to test this, let's go ahead and create one. So we're gonna create a discuss it, and you can follow along on how to do this if you're interested. So we're gonna create a new question. And we're gonna call it discuss it too. I'm gonna put it in testing. I don't know. We're gonna do this for Spanish. Native discuss it now has a separate entry here. So once you go into discuss it, it looks a little different. It looks a little bit intimidating because it doesn't look like the other native questions. So here under the instructions, this is where you're gonna have the global kind of this instruction. So for example, my instructions could be as simple as find your group, right? Clear that up. Find your group, watch the video, and answer the prompt questions. You will need to complete 2 recordings, and then you could put more instructions on how you want students to do. So here is where you're gonna create your, you can think of it as your slides, your pages where you're gonna have your groups or the content that you wanna add. So I could add the first page, so I'm gonna call it group 1. And in this group, I'm gonna, so welcome to group 1. Please watch the following video and answer the questions below. 1, 2. These are my questions. So I'm gonna add a video in here. I could add a YouTube, so you could just plug in a YouTube video right there. Or what did I do? Let me see. Not this one. Actually, I think what I did is I put the video in the other one. Okay, sorry. So I left that there. This is where we're gonna do the video. That's right there. That's where the media was, sorry. So I'm gonna add, I'm gonna add another video since you've seen that one. This one. Really put it in the wrong place, but here it is. So right now I just uploaded this video, right? And you can see there's nothing in there. So the caption is being processed as well as the transcript. It's kind of like in Studio. If you've done any videos in Canvas Studio, you will get a notification when it's done. But once it's done, it will pop in. Actually, usually it's pretty quick. And this won't work for YouTube videos because those are basically embedded links from the outside. But any videos that you upload or students record, will be able to have the captioning added. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it working on that. Oops. Oh, did you see that? I forgot to put a license. So it won't let me save it because I missed that one. So you have to go back and put a license, save. This was actually not ideal in the sense that I should have put the video in the place I wanted to. But here is, again, you're gonna have to choose a language in order for all this captioning to be done accurately. So if it is English, make sure to put English. This is not auto-graded, but you could also make it auto-graded. Now, how can you make it auto-graded? Is if it meets the requirements that you set. For example, if in my case, I want students to create one thread, so I have one. I want students to reply to one, and I want students to participate. So I have 3 requirements, and then I have, let's say, maybe I'm going to turn all of them on. So they could do text minimum of 50 words, and then the recordings should be at least 1 minute. 1 minute. So if all these requirements are met, the students will get an automated, grade. So if you don't want to listen and provide feedback to each one of them, you can easily do this and turn the auto-graded turn on. And again, when the rubric comes in, I think it would make it much easier for grading. Right now, I'm actually doing it. It's not so bad. I do it every 2 weeks, where students have to, at the end of each chapter, they have to do one of these. It gives opportunities for students to, for the online asynchronous class, to meet kind of online and discuss topics. I put like a short film where they have to discuss different topics, different parts of the film, where in each group they could go over different parts. I have talked to a math faculty. He wanted to use it to have students solve, not just give the answer to the problem, but go through the process on how they got to the math problem and the answer. So you can think of it in many ways where students could talk to you through the process. You could also easily make this so other students cannot see it. So you could make this an assessment, right? Where students have to do their own presentations, and then they just present to you and there's no other audience, and like a final project. And once I save it again, okay, usually it's pretty quick in uploading the transcript, but there it is. Let's see what happens if I go in as a student. I'm curious to see. Okay, so if I go there, I'm under anonymous, so that's the reason why it won't let me go in as a real student. But you should be able to go ahead, and when you click on this, now that I have the option of a text, I could type in. Now, let's say I want to submit that. It will tell me that I didn't meet the requirements because I have less than 50 words. So this submission will not be counted. So if you're doing the auto-graded, this will be kind of like a blank. But if I have, I don't know, maybe I need to copy this from something else, so that way it will let me. There, I met the minimum of 50 words. Save it. It says, should be able to tell me that I'm okay. Same thing with this. I could start recording. And then if I try to save this, it will probably tell me that it's too short. So I'm curious to see how other disciplines will be able to use this, where you could add it to your, assessment groups and be part of your, if it is part of your homework, deploy it as homework. You have the auto-graded ones here, and this actually it's not auto-graded. So once, let's say you have your set of activities, and I did show the cloning, I do want to show the last component, which is how it would look in ADAPT. ADAPT will look in Canvas, right? So if you've done this, when we did it last week, where you have the course, if you go to properties, remember you should have selected LMS, yes. Once you did that, now it should be asking you where do you want to, which Canvas course you want to select to be linked. And since I did say yes, you should have this box where it says you can link to LMS courses, and I have all these courses that I have right here that I could choose to link to. So I'm gonna choose one of my sandboxes to link. So remember, I have two assignments. So assignment number 1, this one, it didn't like it. Why I didn't like it? I have a feeling it's this one. I'm going to delete that one. Okay, let's go back. Link it. I'm going to link it again. Okay, that one is strangely not linking. That shouldn't have happened. But here you can see actually how which ones are connecting. And for example, if I go, so this one, it did not connect, and I have to figure out why it didn't connect. But if I go to my Canvas, and go to assignments, no, outcomes, assignments. Have all kinds of stuff.
Is it not linking because of the due date? Because it's already closed?
That could be too. Oh, okay. Let me see. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm past the time. Okay, let me see. And then we're gonna put this. And let's unlink it. I love this unlink it and link it back. Before, yeah, and they told me that they should show up quickly, but I've seen it take longer. No. Okay. There's something wrong with that one. But it said that it linked the first one. If you do it right, it should show up as one of the assignments in here. It will, you could force it to by creating an actual assignment in here, but you shouldn't be able to have to do that anymore if you have the API link. So maybe it's not behaving because it's Friday afternoon. So it will show up like this. And it will, again, you will know which ones are linking and which one, as you saw, it didn't link correctly. And once you publish the assignment, then you should be able to see it in your gradebook. Has anybody used it? The API is a bit new for my college. We barely got it up and running a few weeks ago. So we were doing it the old way, which was the LTI, where you have to create each assignment in Canvas and link it one by one. So for example, if I have 17 weeks of assignments, I had to do 17 assignments in Canvas and link it manually one by one. That was the old way. But now with the API, it should technically show up once you can link it from here. And so I'm curious. I mean, I know that your district has turned this on and has it on for, I've been using it for a while, right? Has anybody been using it?
Yeah, we added it when we did the LibreText workshop last spring with Delmar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it in my classes, but I know it works because I've made a test course and linked it to my class, and it moves everything over and it looks really good.
Yes. It is definitely time saving, because imagine if you have to do, and you know, my courses have, you know, I have 6 sections and each section has, I don't know, 30 assignments. If I had to go ahead and create one by one of one assignment at a time and link it, it becomes a big time-consuming work. And when we're trying to convince a faculty to try this, it becomes a big issue. So I think, let me see, I have one more slide. So if for whatever reason you're not connecting ADAPT with Canvas, there's a way to have students access directly to ADAPT by giving them a course code. So this is kind of the other way, the other alternative. And I know there were faculty teaching like at high schools where they don't have access to Canvas that wanted to go ahead and use ADAPT assignments. This is one way that those students could have access to this by going directly to the ADAPT course that you created. You just go to the course property, find sections, and get the access code. Once they have the access code, they should be able to get into your course. And let me see, I think that's, in terms of what I had, those were, now next week, there is a session specifically on Discuss It. So if people are interested in coming to see how other disciplines are using it, we're gonna have examples on how, so it's not just my example. There'll be other faculty that could show how they're using Discuss It in their classes. I think this has the potential of, you know, beyond the, you know, multiple choice, filling the blanks, all those type of questions that we know. This way students will be able to participate. You'll be able to hear them, see them if you want, and engage more with the content, even if it means just say hello. Like this could be a good, you know, welcome discussion kind of a way for students to come in and share, you know, a little bit about themselves when they start a class. So, that's pretty much what I have. And then you have the LibreTexts workshop, the office hours, and I share, you know, the slides again with the team. But if there are any specific questions on how some of these questions are created, has anybody been able to create any questions? Even if it means just copying what I have right here? Oh, everybody's already heading to spring break. This Friday afternoon sessions are not easy, I have to say.
Christina, one of
Mhm.
my faculty had asked about the accessibility part. And I know that most question types are accessible, but I think I remember too that there's an option when you use a question that's not accessible to add like an accessible alternative.
Yes. So actually that's the part I wanted to. So let's say I'm gonna deploy this one. Now, what we like about, what I like about ADAPT is the and I know that I think it's in 2 weeks where we're gonna talk about H5P questions, is that because ADAPT was created within LibreTexts, they are native questions. The accessibility portion of it has been all kind of taken care of. That includes the discuss it portion of it. Obviously, if it is, you need to do the alt text and all those things. But H5P doesn't have that, and it cannot guarantee that those, even the simplest multiple choice questions, the platform itself has a lot of issues with accessibility. So with that said, let's say that you want these assignments. Oh, so I'm going to go to the course properties. If you go to course properties, you can see this ally redirect, and you can choose the students that will get, and because there's nobody in this class, I have no other option, but you can choose the students that have the accommodations that will get the questions that have been labeled assignments that are alternative assignments. And those students will get that. So this is what I like about it compared to Canvas. You know how in Canvas you have, for each quiz, for example, you have to give extra time. Those accommodations have to be done at that level, at the assignment level. Here you can control it at the course level. So all the students that are in here will get those questions that are being tagged as alt text. So if, for example, Julia in my class has been tagged as needing accommodations and I save it, then in my questions, I don't know, the fill in the blanks is technically, it shouldn't have a problem, but let's say that I want an alternative question because this one has some images, for example, right, that are very difficult to navigate and answer the questions because alt text will not be able to capture everything that is in there. Then I could create an alternative question type in here, accessibility. Here you go. Oh, wait a minute. Where you could create an alternative question, maybe without the image. And the students that have been tagged from the beginning at the course level that needed, that alternative option, they will be the only ones that will see that. All the other students will get the regular option, but the student that you want to get the specific question that has the alt text will get the alt text option. It's been a while since I've done one of those, but it is definitely one of the, let's see if I have one done. From a long while ago. I should have prepared that one. That's a good question. It is one of the And I used it for an activity where it had matching with images. And it worked out so well because I didn't have to modify the original question that was not, okay, oh, you know, maybe it's this. Maybe I can try with this one. So for example, this is an H5P question that is not accessible because it's a drag and drop, right? But let's say I do want to keep this one because I love this one for my 99% of my students. But I have one student that will not be able to control this with the screen reader. So I could provide an alternative to this. Maybe it will become a fill in the blank. And I could create an alternative option and add it here. So I could add a fill in the blank. I would have to choose another. So it's asking me for another activity. So I would have to go find another activity that is from maybe Studio. The same way that this one was added is a code 93. I would have to find a different version that is a fill in the blanks. And only the student that needs it will get that option. Everybody else will be able to see this option. So like all of these none of these will be accessible. That's moving parts doesn't actually work for screen readers. Oh, Lolita, you said that you have technical issues on your end. Was it with creating the question? I didn't see that, sorry. In there. I can't download import courses. You mean if you go to public courses? There. I don't know.
Tina, if you go to accounting financial,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you hit update, and then let's just say you want to pick any one of those. I always get these errors. I can't download them either from public course or, so I sent a message. At first, when I was doing it with Unji, she told me that maybe there was an issue with the system, so just let it go. So yeah,
Oh,
see,
okay.
yeah, so I keep getting this error message. And this
Okay.
has been from our last class session. So none of them, no matter which course I go to, I can't import any of them.
Okay, I'll definitely look into this one. But easiest and fastest way to reach them is yeah.
I sent them an email on that
Mhm.
contact support, and I got the message saying that they have it. But I'll
Okay.
just wait to see what they say. But thank you for
And
looking into it.
today's Friday, so you might not hear back today, but they're usually pretty quick. And then what's nice about it is, for example, this, I would say I would call it high, since it is not just you that is having this issue. I would call it, I wouldn't call it severe, but if you put it as, flag it as high, they will definitely pay attention to this. And again, you're getting it, I'm getting it, so it might be one of those things
Would you recommend that I resend it then? Because I sent it initially, I think it was medium. I don't think it was high because I thought it was just me at first. I didn't know. Let me see. I have it as, oh, it actually put it down to low.
Oh,
So I can
yeah.
resend it. I just now opened it, but I can resend it.
Don't tell this to Delmar or his team, but for me it's always high. I don't call it severe because then I don't want to bombard them. But if it is urgent, you want to, so don't say low, even if you think it's low.
Okay, I'll go back. I'll resend it, and I do have the image of the error, so that they can see what the image is and everything, the error. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that's
appreciate your help on this.
interesting. I'm getting it too, but I know that I was able to do a course. Let me see. Let's do it from here. Arbitrate from here. I don't know. Let me see. Well, let's grab one of these. Let's see. There it is. Try that. Did you see what I did?
Do you mind just showing me one more time? Where did
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go
yeah.
to get that?
So from my courses,
Uh-huh. You
go
just
to
select
import course. It will, so you just have to find, well, what was it? Business
It was accounting, financial.
accounting.
So that will be one of the options down here to select from. Yeah, yeah. So
Did I
okay, so there
miss it?
is, I think I just saw accounting.
There you go. Accounting for managers. I don't know. I'm just grabbing
Okay,
that
okay.
one. And then I'm gonna use existing dates, but you can clear them all. Maybe I could clear the dates. So this is another way to bring courses.
Thank you.
That
I
worked.
can always play
So
with it. Thank you.
that is
Thank you.
interesting. So it doesn't work from here, from the courses from this side, but it works from here. So something probably happening on that end. It's interesting. And then remember, if you don't want this, in my case, I don't want that. I could just delete it anytime. It will ask you to type the entire name to make sure that you are deleting the right course, and then it will just delete it. Okay. Yeah. Any questions? Now, I think I mentioned this Forge thing last week, and I was playing around with this. I know this is not on Adapt, but Delmar had me play around with this, and I think this is gonna be the next cool thing out there. If you teach English especially, but I think even other, not launching it. And obviously, I don't know how this works, but it is supposed to kind of like a Google Doc environment where you could have spreadsheets and you could have assignments, but then you are able to, oh, I need to start. That's what it was. Okay, start. There you go. Yes. So this it looks like a document, right? And but you are able to have other things. So that he was telling me that you could have spreadsheets also. So if you're teaching accounting, you could actually have this kind of work being done, and all of this could be graded. There will be also a rubric added to this. There'll be more instructions. They just trying to get all the stuff in place, but I know that it's being tested in at least in his class. So if you are thinking about something, let me see, which one was the one that he assignment one start? Maybe it's this one. No. So again, it's and it has analytics. So here, this was the cool part. It will tell you if students are copying, pasting, and how much. So it's like a heat graph where it will show you big blobs of things being copied from different places and dumped into the document, how much time they're spending. Yeah, they call it a heat map of, and then words. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, there you go. I was playing with this. So you can treat it like a supersized Google Doc, but that could be graded. And so you could have, and then you could have you can upload documents in here and also be graded. Again, it's not ADAPT. It is part of the LibreVerse. It's this one called Forge. and it is being kind of developed right now. So what's coming?
Will
I
it
know
be
that
able to go over to Canvas with your ADAPT assignments?
Can you say that again?
Sorry, like if you link your Canvas over here to ADAPT, would those also
Yeah,
go over with it?
that's the
No.
plan. So
Awesome.
this will be able to be deployed the same way that your Canvas assignments and activities could be deployed. This could be an assignment the same way. I know, I thought it was super cool. So I have to think about how, maybe I want students to instead of posting their discussions or essays in Canvas, maybe use this. He renamed it. It was called antecedent, I guess, but he called it Forge, which I still don't get it, but and if you're coming in 2 weeks to work on Studio, Studio is right here. There's some cool things about Studio, I have to admit, because this is how I started. And there are a lot of cool things you can do. But again, you have to understand that most of the cool activities that you can create are not accessible. And so knowing that, you can see what's out there, and there are collections around different projects that you can go ahead and kind of take a look at. I think Arabic was one of them that they were working on. For example, this type of activity where you have multiples in one, they're called compound activities, will not, there are problems too. Again, I think if you're using it, this as audio, if you're embedding this in your book, and it's not graded, then I think it could work. But as homework, this also has issues with cheating, because apparently there are ways to trick the system to give you the answers. Something about stopping and launching it again or something, and then it will populate all the answers. So you do not want that to be your assessment. It's okay for practice if you want. But there are a lot of things that I think have been created. And again, there are about almost 23,000 activities that have been created in Studio.
Christina, I use Studio quite a bit, and so I know we're talking about it in after break, and you mentioned the accessibility. I don't use the ones that say not accessible in red, but a lot of the ones I like say accessible with a workaround, and
Yes.
I've never quite known what that meant.
Yes. So that came from our project. So when and is Amanda still here? Amanda was there because she was our connection to the OERI when we got the grant. We didn't know that HYP had so many problems. There are about 52 type of questions. A lot of them super cool looking activities, but only 5 are green. Did you notice that, Stephanie? Only 5.
Yeah.
There's a big chunk that are okay, the orange ones that are okay with workarounds. So the workarounds are steps that you have to do within the activity to make it a little more accessible, but still doesn't pass. Even if you do all those workarounds, it's still not the greatest, but it's better than not. One of the ones that we had done, let me see if I could get into mine, is using the tip. So if you go to, let me see, no. It's using different parts of once you go into the activity, and this is for the fill in the blanks, which you would think that it is accessible. Let me see, does this one have it? Yes, this. Do you see this eye? This is called a tip. What it does is gives you the word that in this case the verb that is in parentheses shows up again. Usable was best practices. So this is kind of like one of those tips that we were given by the accessibility expert that was assigned to our team to make it more accessible. And this was the easy one. There are other ones that we couldn't even get to, but this is the reason why you want to create it in ADAPT. If you're going to do fill in the blanks, forget about doing it here, because I think it is a lot more time consuming to do it here. But there are some nice things about doing it here. Like you can just grab this embed code and put it in Canvas and do it like a, an activity, but it wouldn't be graded. So that's like a preview of what you will see in 2 weeks. So if you want to have an alternative to ADAPT questions. So I think any questions? That's kind of all I have. I ended with a little bit of everything with a preview. I hope that even if you don't get to use ADAPT, go and take a look at it. Even if you never use homework, think of it as activities that students could do for extra practice, for extra credit, and take a look at discuss it. I think there are many disciplines that could benefit from this conversational type of activity, and to think that something like that would cost a lot of money to get through Boistred, for example. That license alone costs I think it's like $5 per student type of thing. It's insane how expensive a Boistred license will be, and we have it for free in ADAPT. So that's kind of what I have. Do you have any other things, Stephanie, Sally?
Thank you. I learned a lot today and last week. Play around with it. And thank you to all of our faculty that came also.
Yes, thank you for sticking around on this Friday, and wish everybody your district happy spring break while I'm finishing my spring break.